Beyond.
Beyond.
You guys did not go in a circle. We've gone in a circle for 434 episodes, and now you did it in tandem.
That's much more impressive, I think. We didn't even plan it. It was perfectly
I feel like it was
Yeah.
planned. You guys both have your laptops open. You probably did a cool Slack
Yeah,
to each other.
we were texting each other
We
about
slacked Beyond at the same time.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 434. My name is Marty Sleva. Joining me is Alana Pierce.
Hello.
Hi, and Andrew Goldfarb.
Hello.
Hi. That was weird.
was it
Max,
weird?
I don't know. It was just weird.
You're weird.
Yeah, no, roll with it. Max and Brian are currently on assignment 30 feet away, filming a very strange video. And I don't know if we can talk about it yet because it's probably not going to be on until up at noon. But
Yeah. Well, they'll probably end up tweeting about it.
it is starring a video starring a man who some of
he
you may
famous?
know. Yeah, he's famous.
I haven't heard of him. But,
Really, ever?
no.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He's pretty
You've never
famous.
seen his movies?
Those movies
I'm
are
pretty sure you've seen his movies.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't. I just
You
don't
probably at least
recognize
heard
his
of
name.
them. Well, I don't know actually because they haven't come out in years.
You've never seen...
I am only 12. So,
Okay, I really want to disagree with you with not knowing who he is, but that's a weird thing to disagree with someone. Thank you and welcome. We are IGN's PlayStation podcast, and we're going to talk about some PlayStation stuff this week, but probably by the end we'll end up just talking about dogs and bagels and other assorted whatnots.
I like dogs and
Yeah, dogs
yeah,
and
it's
bagels.
two of my favorite things.
Really?
Yeah.
Bagels?
Yeah, dude.
I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
seen you eat a bagel.
Every Wednesday?
No, on bagel day?
Yeah.
Do you steal them like Andrew does?
You steal bagels, Andrew?
Yeah, he
Wow,
steals
I
a
got
lot of bagels.
And
Kirsten
tea
and I
cleaning
both.
products?
Kirsten and I. Cleaning
And
products
mints
is
and
one.
tea?
Kirsten and
once.
I steal bagels every Wednesday,
I respect that.
and I don't care who knows it.
Just don't tell Per or Dal or Fran.
Hey, Per. Thanks for listening.
Between us, please nobody tell Pear that I steal bagels.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all sorts of things this episode, including No Man's Sky's release date, our predictions for next week's hopefully big PSVR event, some thoughts on The Division and Uncharted 4, as well as there is an actual question about dogs. So that's very exciting.
Score.
Yeah, we get that near the end. But Andrew,
Hey, Marty.
as IGN's cool newsboy, tell us what happened with No Man's Sky recently.
Fucking Mitch is cooler than me. No Man's Sky finally got an official release date, and wow, you agreed with that real fast. Finally got an official release date, which we knew was June from PSX. I think they announced that.
Yeah, they said it was
And
June.
Now we know it's June 21st, and there's also some cool special editions. If you buy it on PC from IM8-bit, you get a cool like spaceship replica made of tin.
Which
It's
I
not
think
an
is
actual-
kind of interesting because aren't the spaceships meant to be customizable?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like
I
you're
feel
just kind of getting a
It's
just
almost
one
like the
of them.
key art paste.
Yeah.
Space ship.
But it looks
Space
it's
station.
really nice. It's also very big.
Yeah.
And then the PlayStation 1 just comes with some cool like an art book and a bunch of stuff.
There's also the
but-
soundtrack on vinyl.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a double LP, and IM8-bit had a bunch. They have like a shirt, and they have like posters, and they have special prints.
I'm going to be honest, that collection of stuff is exactly what I always tend to want out of collector's editions.
Yes,
Give
totally.
me a figure, an art book, and some music. I'll buy it.
Yeah, like I'm much less impressed by special editions that have like in-game content as it
I don't
like
care at
have an
all.
extra part for your ship or an exclusive gun. I was like, that's
Okay.
not that cool.
Okay.
Yeah, especially like Batman always did the challenge maps, which never like those were
Yeah,
never
yeah.
like the only thing I thought was cool was it's like one of the only platform exclusives I can think of that stayed exclusive was on PS3. You could play as the Joker in Batman Arkham Asylum in some challenge rooms.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's like the only thing I can think of that never eventually
But
came
I
over
mean,
to Xbox.
Arkham City also came with an art book DLC. I think
That
it
statue.
came with
That
the
very
statue
sharp
we have up there.
statue that like
Yeah.
10 people in the office cut themselves
It
on.
also came with, I think,
a DVD, an animated
DVD.
movie.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
came with a lot of really cool stuff. And then
Yeah.
obviously the Arkham Knight ones also, and Arkham Origins came with cool statues
Yep.
as well.
And we still get like,
Except RIP, that Batmobile that got defected.
oh yeah, remember that?
Oh,
I
that's
forgot about
right.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really wanted that.
yeah.
So No Man's Sky has a release date of June 21st. One thing that's interesting, and they did this whole press event, they did this whole embargo lift, is that they didn't mention VR still. And
Yes.
they haven't, the weird part of that is that they just won't say no. And the interesting thing that we've talked about a bunch, and not really a ton in the show, is that idea of, do you think that it'll happen next week? Do you think that there's this big PlayStation event on March 15th?
March
I wanna say?
15th, Tuesday, March 15th.
Yep, and we expect price and date there, which we talked about before, but do you think that's when they'll announce No Man's Sky or something else?
So in terms of No Man's Sky, I've always thought, like for the last year, I've thought it would be sort of synonymous in day and date with PSVR. That this would be, I don't know, in an age where killer apps don't really exist anymore, especially killer launch apps. Like I was like, maybe this will be like the Wii Sports of of PSVR. But hearing Ryan McCaffrey, who went down to the preview event in LA and talked to Sean Murray and directly asked him about VR, he said sort of the way Sean was responding was like, listen, this is something like the thought of putting on a helmet and playing this thing has been a dream of mine since I was a kid. And like definitely interested in the possibility, but it sounds like their focus for that June 21st date is getting the game out. And this game for a team as small as Hello is, despite the fact that they're also undoubtedly have a lot of support from Sony internal, is a monumental task to actually get this game to come out. So
yeah,
I would now be surprised if it is VR day and date.
I think that PSVR needs a launch title. It needs a really good launch title, and I think No Man's Sky is a perfect one. But I was talking to someone who works on VR, and they basically told me that, I don't know how valid this information is, but they basically told me it can't run, that it's just not going to be able to run on PSVR because of what the game is. The technology or the hardware's not there.
Yeah, and we don't know if it's going to be if something like PSVR is going to be iterative, if it's going to be like an iPhone where the first iPhone's kind of bunk, but then 2 or 3 years later there's an incredible one.
Safe to assume that.
Yeah, I sort of don't trust anything. That's just my nature.
Yeah, and I mean, the interesting thing about, like, I'm positive that'll be what Oculus and Vive are, whereas for a console-based one, it's harder to get people to rebuy something. Like, it's like stuff like Kinect or Move or whatever. There was never, like, a real fully rolled out 2.0 rebuy it, like, during the same generation. It was more that, like, next time they iterated on it.
Well, I think the biggest thing that's going to happen with VR is the Move controllers. They're going to wait a year or so, and then they'll release PSVR Move controllers. And I feel like they'll probably wait to do that so the bundle doesn't look so expensive. So it's like, oh, you can use your old controllers as a selling point, but then they'll wait because those aren't good enough.
Okay, so let's get into that a little bit. So we were talking about, next week is Tuesday at 2 p.m. is this PSVR event here in the city, and that's when we and a lot of other people think we're going to get price, we're going to get date, and then we're going to be able to go. I think 2 of us are going to be going hands-on, and Max will be there going hands-on with a bunch of games. Some of them are probably going to be updated versions of things we've seen, and some of them I think will probably be unannounced things that we haven't seen yet. So what do you? So one of your sort of predictions in terms of PSVR is that we're going to get almost like Move. Have we had Move 2.0? Would this be Move 3.0?
No,
So
we
this
only
would
had one Move.
Yeah.
I never think that it worked all that well. But I think they're really worried about the price because obviously there's an issue if you have the PSVR be more expensive than a console. It's going to be so hard to sell. So I feel like they will wait a year or so and then release Move controllers specifically for PSVR so the bundle doesn't look so expensive initially.
There was a trademark that's really cool. So I guess to back up a second, I guess the closest thing we've had to a Move 2.0 is the PS4 controller, which is it has the built-in light bar, which is basically the same thing, exactly. But there was a trademark recently, attributed to Sony, trademark application, I should say, that was essentially like it allowed you. It's really weird looking. It's like a very hard thing to not explain visually, but it's like it allowed like a camera to sit here, and it was like a glove basically with almost a Move ball in front of it. So if you held your hand like a pistol, you could almost have like a virtual pistol. It almost allowed your hands to...
It was almost like a GoPro that laid on top of your wrist that could detect your individual finger movements and sort of position them in the game as things that make sense, like whether you're holding an object or whether if you are shooting a gun, it's a gun in the game.
And that's the interesting thing is like that totally, like I agree with you. I think the input has to change because I don't think Move is sophisticated enough, especially compared to Oculus Touch or the Vive controller.
It's old.
Yeah.
And like that's why...
And it wasn't made for this.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's why my theory is they're just not doing it now because they don't want it to be too expensive. They don't want to have to bundle it with PSVR and then scare people off when it's more expensive than a console.
The crazy thing about Move is that Move, like the Move wands, were more impressive than the initial Wiimotes, but I don't think they were as impressive as the Wiimote Plus.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, so they got
once
left
Wii
behind
Plus
in the dust a while ago.
Yes, and that's the interesting thing. So, like, I agree with you that they have to have some more sophisticated input. I don't know if it'll be a year later. I think they could do a thing where the raw version of PSVR that you buy, whatever, it comes in the processing box, PSVR, that's it, and maybe like 2 Move controllers, is going to be maximum $400, I would imagine. I don't think they can exceed the price of the system, but I can see them having a $500 version that includes rigs and 2 better controllers or something, like a PSVR Pro.
Yeah.
And I can see them doing that at launch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that...
I just feel like they definitely have to have the option to have it in some way that's not more expensive than the console because
I totally agree with that. I do think there will be an entry level version to keep it low, and then because they know this is a niche proposition, right? They know that people who are buying Oculus and Vive day one are a small group, so PSVR can be equally as it's that rare case where the install base is big enough that the people who are day one crazy early adopters, super hardcore fans are probably willing to spend more, whereas the people who are trying to hook in terms of the mainstream, they don't want to spend more than the price of the system.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sony's at a position now, especially when how they're doing in the console market, as well as sort of where they are in terms of their competition in the VR space, that they can take a major loss on this, that they can sell for way under what the thing should be, especially
I think they will do that.
Yes, and especially in the shadow of a $600 Oculus and an $800 Vive. If theirs is half of an Oculus, then that is so much more appealing. And like we always say is, yes, there's those inherent costs, but there's also the fact that a $400 box will 100% run a PSVR, whereas you might need a $1,200 computer to run.
I definitely think that PSVR is the most user-friendly one, and we've had this discussion before where it probably is the most likely to sell because it automatically works with the hardware that you already have and a lot of the games that you already have. And I kind of assume that they'll be doing some of the PlayStation Plus games every month, might even be PSVR games to try and sell PSVR.
Yeah, add a tier, when they added Vita.
Especially as you have to imagine eventually they're going to start waning off PS3 and even eventually Vita games on
basically
PlayStation Plus. So that would make sense. It's leave behind PS3 and introduce PSVR.
But at the same time, we keep saying that it needs to be cheaper than a console to not scare people off, but because it's the easiest one to use, it's also probably the only one that I would buy if it was $600.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing.
I love Vive, but I'm not going to buy it.
Even if we're wrong, right? Even if it's more than the console itself, it still stands that that's the perfect point is what you said, which is that let's say this is $600 and a PS4 is $400. That still means that for $1,000 or probably even less if they bundle them, you get literally everything you need.
Yeah.
Whereas for Oculus or Vive, a PC, there's no world where you're going to get a $200 capable PC to run your $800 Vive. That will never happen. Yeah. So I think even the combined costs, even if they exceed the price of the system itself, it's still that total for buying everything will absolutely be under $1,000. Yeah. And that's a ton of money, but that is a more accessible proposition than, because I can see them, in a perfect world, if this thing is, $400 and the system's $400, on Black Friday, they could theoretically have $600 bundles with both or something insane like that. And when you do that, especially in the US for around the holidays, for a new piece of tech, for a big install base, I can see that doing really well in a way that I don't know what that hook is yet for Oculus. And I think they're going to do those ready-made PC bundles, but I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah. I mean, I also think one of the things that we're going to find out is I think PSVR will absolutely come bundled with a handful of games, even if they're smaller games. I mean, we know Oculus is coming with Lucky's Tale, which is a 3D platformer, and Eve, and possibly something else, and then Vive. At least our version of the Vive, which is not the retail version, sort of the pre version.
Yeah, but I think we're safe to assume it'll come with the same games.
With Job Simulator, Fantastic Contraption, and Tilt Brush.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I would imagine they'll have the Dota demo and the Portal demo be free to download.
For Valve, yeah. So I mean,
I think we have those as well here, don't we?
Yeah, we have a bunch of them just on the press account.
But that's the thing. We have it's technically a dev kit, right?
Yeah.
And it's on the press account. Yeah. So I don't know what that would look like as a retail.
But I feel like Job Simulator is going to come.
Yeah, totally. Especially that demo, because our version is not the full version. It's
just one job.
That feels like absolutely.
Yeah. But in terms of PSVR, what do you of the things we've seen so far, even if they're fleshed out a little bit, you've played a lot of PSVR, what do you think? What can you imagine it coming with?
That crappy Until Dawn roller coaster.
Yeah.
That seems like the obvious choice.
I mean, I don't think it can come bundled with a M-rated thing.
And here's the thing.
True.
Yeah. Also, it will absolutely include rigs. Because the thing is, we've seen all these demos, and they're made as experiences to play at a trade show. Rigs is a proper first-party game, and it's we may not consider it as exciting as God of War 5 or whatever.
I like
but it's
Rigs, but it's the only one that's ever given me motion sickness, and I feel like that's a really tough marketing decision. It's do we want people to play Rigs as the first game they play when it's the one that gives people motion sickness?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Literally no other PSVR game has given me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think... I don't know what that game will be if it's not with the system itself, because that doesn't feel, for that exact reason.
It has to be. It wants to be Rocket League, and it has to have a really big community to be Rocket League. So it kind of has to be bundled. And maybe what I played at Paris Games Week last year wasn't final product, so maybe they've fixed the motion sickness issue. But I think that's something they really have to consider.
Yeah, I mean, and motion sickness in general is a scary thing with VR. I mean, I think the very first version of Oculus, like long before the DK2, it was really, it had no head tracking, and like it just like it really made you sick almost immediately.
The first thing I played was Team Fortress 2, and then I played Mirror's Edge. Both of those things were terrible, and I played for about 15 minutes, and then I had to sit down and drink water for about 15 minutes afterwards because I was so sick. Whereas PSVR, the only thing that's made me feel slightly sick is rigs. Everything else has been fine. That's why I was thinking, like, being bundled with Until Dawn, I mean, doesn't really seem like a smart decision, but it also seems like an easy one. It's like people probably don't care about it. Game sucks, but it was basically done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that anything's ever launched with an M-rated bundle.
So
like,
then
I just think
Playroom, the Playroom.
I totally think Playroom, and I totally think rigs. Like, I think these are things where it's almost like very proof of concept-y experiences.
It's also, you're thinking of it as
fun.
You're thinking of it as, I mean, like, maybe nothing's launched as in literally, like, there's never been maybe a Wii Sports M-rated thing, but there's certainly been, like, console bundles for several games. So it's like there could very easily be one marketed as kids that has Playroom in it, and we'll get to that in a second, but one that has Playroom in it, and then one that does have Until Dawn and something else. Like, have, you know, the same way that, like, if I wanted to buy a PS4 last fall, I could have gotten a Taken King bundle, I could have gotten the version that came with Type Zero, I could have gotten Call of Duty. Yeah, it's like, it's not like there will only be one of these.
Sure.
So I think Until Dawn makes perfect sense for one of them.
Are those retailer choices, or are they...
Like they can
Sony
be either.
Choices?
Like they can be the actual produced box that's like in partnership with a third party.
Nintendo always chooses.
Yeah.
Nintendo like chooses what they're going to have with theirs. I don't know if Sony does that.
I mean, all of those were choices. All of those were, and it was even
Sony
like
choices?
The ones that literally come, it's like the Vita.
Planet.
The Vita relaunched in the United States with Borderlands 2, and that was a totally official Sony bundle. You literally couldn't buy it without it.
So in that case, then I think they would just split the two.
Yeah.
They'd have
so
one
I
for kids, one for.
And I think you can have 10 of those if you really want to. I mean, probably not for VR, but I mean, like in the case of PS4, I guarantee you that this fall there's going to be like Final Fantasy 15 one. There's probably going to be a whatever Last Guardian one if it comes out, like whatever that is. Yeah.
Do we think it's going to launch with Move controllers? Or
Unless they
optional?
totally next week throw a curveball and they're like, hey, we've been showing with Move, but that was a demo. Now it comes with X.
I mean, there's only one thing I played with Move controllers, which is the Until Dawn roller coaster.
It has to come with something, right? Like you couldn't just use it with a PS4 controller. That would be really weird to me.
You can.
You could. Until Dawn, I played with Move controllers. I played. The other thing I think it'll launch with is Dreams. Like launch with as in bundled in. Like I think
that
Dreams
would be great.
I think the way Sony gets Dreams into as many people's faces as possible,
which is the only way that game can succeed.
Yeah,
it's a social media. That would be great.
Yeah. Honestly, that's probably more likely than No Man's Sky in some ways.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So what are do you think next week we'll see any old franchises or any currently existing PlayStation franchises that now have either a component that is PSVR or a supplemental experience that is VR or total God of War 4 is VR, that kind of thing?
I think maybe you see an Infamous experience, a God of War experience, whatever. I would be legitimately surprised if you saw something that was like God of War 4 is only on PSVR. Like, I don't think they would do that yet. I think after a year or after 2 years, you'll start to see that, and it makes perfect sense. But
the people making the games need to have the market proven before that's going to work.
Totally.
Don't want to make a Wii mistake.
Well, I mean, and people did that with any new hardware. It's weird, right? Like with Vita, you got games built from the ground up, and they come across as more gimmicky. Like launch titles for something like this always don't quite get it in the way. And like Wii launch titles are a perfect example. Like the games that came at the very beginning versus the games at the end, they understood it more. Like I don't think you could have gotten a Mario Galaxy the day the system came out because you had to get through the Twilight Princess and you had to get through the whatever.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, again, one of the things I think I've said before on the podcast is I want to see Sony use their, first and I guess second party IPs and create these little auxiliary experiences. This is my weekly rant where I want all games to be short stories.
You just want really short stories packaged together.
That's all I want
almost
from
like
video
the
games.
Portal demo on Vive, though.
And so,
like something like that, but for
Sony
Sony
version of that.
Yes,
but
totally.
it can be a $60 package that has an Uncharted experience, a Last Guardian experience, an Infamous experience.
Yeah.
Even that's a good marketing decision. Like just before those release.
Yeah.
Just launch little VR packages to remind people those games exist, and everyone's going to play them.
That's really cool.
In the way that we already know
Yeah.
there's going to be a Psychonauts one before Psychonauts 2. It was called Into the Rhombus, I think. That's going to be a PSVR exclusive Psychonauts thing that's going to bridge the gap between Psychonauts 1 and then Psychonauts 2, which isn't going to come out for a couple of years.
There was a Unreal Engine 4. This is weird. It's going to be a walk, but I promise I'm coming back. This week, there was an Unreal Engine 4 remake of Ash's room from Pokemon. And it was just a fly through of a room, and you could see his badges and his bed and his Pokeballs. Baby. Exactly. You could see all his like different colored Pokeballs. You could see his Pokedex sitting on the table with like a Squirtle entry open. You could see all this stuff. And it was purely just, it was nothing other than a tour of that room. I think something like that, like if it was like a month before Uncharted 4 comes out, if you see, or not Uncharted 4 because that's coming out earlier probably, but some first party game, and it's like, oh, you can explore like Nathan Drake's house, or you can explore
or you can explore a small section of Midgar in Final Fantasy 7.
Exactly.
That is a great idea.
Like I think something like that makes a lot more sense as like a companion, and it's not like a level of the game. It's nothing to do with anything. It's just more like like walk around Noctis's palace or whatever, or like sit in the car and like just look around the car and fiddle with the gears and stuff in VR. Like I think there are a lot of ways that you could do Final Fantasy 15's car.
I think that's an amazing idea. What actual PSVR exclusive games have we got announced so far? We've got Rigs.
We have Rigs. We have Until Dawn. God, what else have we played?
The Playroom one.
The Playroom. Yeah, I mean, so many of the
Robinson
things.
the Journey.
But so many of those. Yeah, Robinson the Journey is a good one.
Really
and Golem that they announced at PSX.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those, but then there are also things like Kitchen and like the London Heist or whatever that aren't games.
They're all demos.
They're demos, exactly.
I have a feeling if we see one thing that we've already seen before fleshed out at this event, I think it'll be London the Heist. I think London the Heist is the thing that has the biggest capacity to be a full thing.
Yeah.
We're also stupid in forgetting Gran Turismo, which is one of Sony's traditionally best-selling franchises, and they announced it at PSX. So there is a Gran Turismo VR.
Stupid.
Yeah,
that was correct.
Especially me.
Oh, and there was Tekken VR, which seems dumb.
Yeah, so there are. I totally forgot that there are a couple things that have been announced, and it's like we should actually compile a list of those somewhere on the site.
Because I played, I believe it was Drive Club. I don't remember which racing game, unfortunately, but I did play a racing game in VR at Paris Games Week.
They had Drive Club VR at PSX, so it's probably that. Yeah.
And that was amazing. Like, I can't believe that I didn't get any motion sickness from that, and it worked really well. I also had
Was that like a full 3D thing where you could like look behind you and you're looking down looking out the back window of your car?
Yeah, it was like you were sitting in the car, and that worked really well. So I guess that's, almost announced.
Yeah.
Like if that's, I don't know if they'll release that, but it was a demo again.
That's where all of this gets confusing, and it's where it's one of the rare, bless you, it's one of the rare
Cats.
takes where
no cats in this room.
By virtue of what we do of going to these trade shows, it's actually almost harder for us to predict what the retail experience will be like, because half these demos, it's like when the Wii U was first shown at E3 2011, half those demos never came out. They were purely proof of concept. And I think a lot of the VR stuff we've seen especially are little things that people built to get used to the engine, to get used to the idea of developing for this hardware, but that informed the full experience that they'll reveal later.
Sure, or even a lot of those things ended up becoming Nintendo Land attractions. Which if that thing we had was a Sony Land thing.
Land.
I like Nintendo Land too. I think what would have been great, a second Nintendo Land that just went all in on that stuff.
And maybe that's. I mean, again, maybe
I really
that's
like the one where you all chase the Mario.
Chase me, yeah.
It's very fun.
That one's really good. There's that weird idea of things that Sony has tried in the past. This is going to be weird. No one's going to like this, but I like it. Like PlayStation Home is something that just didn't really work, didn't really take off with a lot of hardcore gamers especially. But imagine if PlayStation Home is more along the lines of Nintendo Land, and you're walking through it. Actually, the BioShock Infinite Clash in the Clouds DLC is something that reminds me of this, where you're walking through, there's a museum in there and stuff, and it's you can look at all this stuff, concept art from the game. Imagine if that's how they tie together something like these PlayStation experiences.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially a little
museum
doors
or a theme
you
park
walk
or
through,
something.
and you go into the Uncharted room
down
and
last
into
year, right?
Yeah, Home's dead.
Servers turned off. It was only last year though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very recent. Yeah.
Home is dead.
All right,
Home is
home.
dead.
Yeah.
You can't go home again, literally.
Oh.
But hey, so we mentioned kind of the idea of different bundles aimed at different people and stuff. So today there was the terms of service for 3.5 firmware for the beta came out. And the idea was, or the one of the things listed was PSVR experiences are not meant for anyone under the age of 12.
Yeah.
And apparently Oculus is a similar thing, and it's TOS for people under 13.
Yes.
The big question for VR, for us at least, has been how mainstream can it possibly become? Is this something that's going to sell 10 million units, or is this something where there'll be a few thousand Vives and Oculuses and PSVRs in the wild, but it's going to be kind of niche? Do you think not having kids not having games, like licensed games, not having like kids games could hurt that mainstream viability?
Playroom is effectively kids games. I think that even if they don't market them to kids, a lot of the games that we are getting, kids will want to play anyway. I don't think it matters at all. It's the same as like, only use Facebook if you're over 13. Like, what's with all these 10-year-olds? They're going to play it anyway.
Yeah, but I mean,
But who's going to buy something that costs that much money for their kid?
For their 11-year-old kid, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the
PS4s.
things. Yeah, and that's also part of the, like, well, if you buy it and you have a kid, are you going to be like, well, I shouldn't let him or her try this out?
Why they can't. Like, why?
They said it is literally, it was because, like, of sort of mental and visual development is still occurring.
Like, sensory development.
Yeah,
and it could even be like height and things like the way people are meant to be positioned when this is developed. Like if you're like 4'1", it might not actually work.
I mean, but like legitimately, like, yeah, Andrew, like legitimately though, like I think VR requires a level of maturity to it and an ability to sort of understand the difference between fiction and reality in a way that, yeah, you could say that about literally any work of art, but like this more than anything of putting on a helmet and being transported somewhere, like you need the emotional maturity to understand like that you are not actually in this place and that this is not real.
The way that I was scarred by seeing like it as a kid.
Yeah.
If I had been in an immersive room where it felt real and I couldn't even shut my eyes.
If I was a 5-year-old who played the kitchen.
Oh no,
the kitchen demo.
Definitely don't want kids playing VR horror games, but like, I mean, I think that's a really interesting point. I don't know that I agree with it, but I mean, could kids accidentally get stuck in VR and think that the things that happen there are real?
I mean, yeah, there's a kid watches it and then goes to bed and thinks Pennywise is under his bed. And it's like, no, Pennywise is Tim Curry. He's just a fat old British man.
I mean, even when I watched horror movies as a kid, I was terrified of The Ring. That really bothered me. I was also terrified of the Batman movie where Jim Carrey is the Riddler.
Batman Forever?
Terrified. I locked myself in the bathroom
Batman
and
Forever?
cried.
Batman Forever. Yeah.
I was very, very scared of that.
Why?
I don't know. I just found Jim Carrey really scary when I was
Just scared of the color green.
Are you scared of the curvature of a question mark?
St. Patrick's Day is coming.
Oh
no!
I'm gonna cry in bathrooms again. But anyway, even despite finding them very scary, I knew that they weren't real.
Yeah.
I knew it was my imagination that Jim Carrey was gonna come in my bedroom at nighttime.
I think that.
Let's move on past that one. All right, we all heard it.
Natural. That aside, like the idea of a child not being able to separate reality and a game world aside, like putting that issue aside, just the pure. I mean, like let's say people abide by this 12 and under rule, like that means you can't really market like Disney tie-ins. That means you can't really market like little easy license things that are meant for young kids, and like something like Toys to Life, something like imagine if when you like a Skylanders VR game or something like where you could like scan it and have it full size in front of you, or like traveling next to you like a Pokemon or something. I think
there is absolutely no way that this rule is going to last.
Yeah,
I feel like I might be part of a minority who thinks that VR is going to become incredibly mainstream. Like incredibly mainstream.
See, I think it's going to become incredibly mainstream. I just think that's a decade away. Sure, I don't think that happens on any of the hardware we're looking at right now.
It's not coming anytime soon, but I definitely think it's going to happen. And because of that, I mean, you have to include kids.
I mean, it's also, aren't there like VR is being added to a lot of theme parks with stuff? Like, isn't there a Mass Effect VR, or is that just 4D?
It might just be 4D, but there is a Mass Effect attraction.
I mean, technically, like stuff like Star Tours, like that's the same kind of vein.
Yeah,
and kids are allowed on Star Tours.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll just in general be interesting watching store shelves and watching, you know, like, okay, so VR launches and it's 2017. This stuff's been out for a year, and Walmart is marketing 2 new games. And one of them is a licensed game that tends to do well. It's a Zootopia 2 tie-in or whatever. And one of them is a niche VR game. Like, I don't know how you fight for that shelf space until it's all inclusive, until it's all ages. Although at the same time, 12 isn't that young either. Yeah. I mean, like 6-year-old kids can't play that, or that old rather. I meant like 6-year-old kids can't play this, but like 12-year-olds are still plenty into kids games. Like that's still young enough that they're going to be looking at kind of the all ages market.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, at what point do kids go from kids games to wanting to play Call of Duty? What age is that?
It's 12. Legitimately, has probably gotten younger.
I would say like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have.
I really am.
I have nephews that are like 10 and they still play a ton of Minecraft.
I like Minecraft. Okay, Minecraft is ageless.
I think Minecraft's awful.
You clearly haven't played it.
I agree that Minecraft is ageless.
Thank you.
You know what else is ageless? You know what else is ageless? The devil.
Really?
I don't
That
know.
doesn't. That seems totally.
I saw
incorrect.
Legends.
I don't think you know what
So
you're
the
talking about.
Division came out this week.
Put the timestamp. Do a good timestamp.
I'm gonna.
The Division came out this week. I'm
And
Andrew
it was
Goldfarb.
divisive.
You're just
Get out.
You're
Leave.
a creepy little man. This is worse than when we
You'll
ate
have
ham
to
for 25 minutes.
subtract me.
No, really leave.
Yeah, please, actually. So Division is out. We are recording this on Tuesday afternoon. So we record generally Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. So we're out of here by 3:30 p.m., despite the fact that the show doesn't go up until the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we will miss a story that occurs overnight. And so that's why last week we didn't talk about the Uncharted delay.
Yeah, people. That was like an hour after we got out of this room.
Yeah,
So people
and
like,
so-
why didn't you talk about it? Like,
Definitely just
didn't
isn't something.
happen.
Yeah. And so, the Division has been out. Vince Ingenito is reviewing it for us. He's been playing a ton. We've been streaming it. Obviously, there were some initial server problems where folks, including myself, tried to get in on last night during launch night, and it was difficult. I was in a very long queue.
Yep.
There is some difficulty, some really funny, jokey things where people are trying to accept a quest, and too many people are trying to click into it, and so they're developing a nice little line.
There's also some other funny stuff where when you spawn in a room, if someone stands in front of the doorway, you can't
Can't
get
leave.
out of the
Yeah,
room,
which is very funny.
Which is great. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of that.
Yeah.
So we'll probably maybe talk about it more next week.
Yeah,
when
I mean, I don't
people
think
had
any
a
of us have had
chance
enough
play
time
it.
to sort of give our in-depth opinions.
I think this is another thing that needs to be looked at, like Destiny. Like when I first played Destiny, I really, really liked it, and then I realized that it was just the same thing for a very long time, and I was like, I actually don't like this at all.
Yeah.
So I need a week.
Yeah.
But first things first, I think the universe is very interesting.
Like the universe just as a whole, like our universe?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of our universe.
Yeah, galaxies and whatnot.
I disagree. I think there's nothing interesting in the universe except
Wow.
Persona.
What about dogs?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Bagels?
Yeah, also pretty good.
Basil's
Yeah.
Babby.
Anyway, I think that like I keep tying it to comic books that I've read, like stuff like DMZ. I just think there's a lot of cool stuff that could happen there. And one of the things that I really wanted to see that it doesn't seem to have is like Dead Rising style psychopaths. Like people who have just cornered themselves off in a room and have gone crazy. Just humans who have just gone crazy, and those as boss fights.
Yeah.
Rather than being, like Destiny just has like a ridiculous, unrelatable thing. I like the idea of boss fights telling a backstory, and I think the Division has
Sure.
a really good opportunity to do that. I just don't know that it will.
Yeah, we don't know. Maybe that is in there later on.
Yeah. None of us are far enough to know yet.
Yeah, Vince might be.
Vince might be.
Yeah,
Probably.
But he passed away. No, he's just playing the game. He's working very hard, actually.
Same thing.
Yeah, ostensibly.
May as well be dead.
One of the things over the weekend that we did get to play is we got to play a little bit of the Uncharted multiplayer beta.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. I think it's very fun.
Yeah. What did you? I mean, so like legitimately, we talked about. I think it was last week or the week before. Like, what are the odds that when Uncharted comes out, that any of us will actually care about the multiplayer? I mean, all of us are going to want to. When it is out in what is it now? May 10th.
May 10th.
When it's out on May 10th, I mean, the odds are we're gonna just immediately play the single player.
I mean, that's what
yeah.
I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally. But playing the multiplayer for a while, like, it feels different enough than its competition on the market. Like, I'm not even sure if it directly has
I think
multiplayer
it
competition.
feels very similar to The Last of Us multiplayer.
Makes sense.
I also feel like it's kind of Gears of War-y,
Yes.
which I love.
Also, I want something called like Gears of War-y. That's like a little.
It's like the mobile version.
yeah,
Gears of
like a little,
War-y.
little
It's like-
chibi
yeah,
Marcus
It's like
Phoenixes.
Muppet Babies.
Oh, I could totally
I keep
have that.
accidentally like referencing Xbox games like Dead Rising and Gears of War, but it's not my fault. They're so referenceable.
Referenceable. Yeah.
But just like the cover system and some of the weapons.
Even like the layouts of the levels. Remember me
Yeah.
a little bit of multiplayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the weird spells and stuff. I think those
Totally.
are really
They're called
smart. and interesting.
mysticals.
And they're
I'm sorry.
super chaotic.
Mysticals.
They're
Yeah.
very fun.
The rapper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
thought it
made
was
that
fun.
joke so many times in the live stream.
Yeah.
He made that joke so many times in this damn podcast.
Which, by the way, that is still up on YouTube if you want to check us out
Yeah.
playing it. It's still on IGN's YouTube channel.
YouTube.com/ I don't know how that works. Probably
Slash
on
IGN.
I mean, honestly, just Google IGN Uncharted, IGN Live Uncharted multiplayer. I
you want-
bet you that finds it. IGN
All right, you
Live
bet yourself.
Uncharted.
I can't wait to find
So
out.
last week we ate ham into the microphone, and now we're just waiting for Andrew to Google something.
I feel like we should mention the steak
I was
thing.
very wrong.
Look, he was wrong.
Yeah, I was very wrong.
Did you put Uncharted 4?
Nope.
Put Uncharted 4.
Nope.
All right. Well,
Don't do that.
F. Just
YouTube.com/IGN.
imagine what it'd be like if two of us were playing multiplayer for
Yeah,
an
it was
hour.
great. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that was awful.
I feel like we should mention the steak thing. So last
Yes.
week we had hams. and-
Also, we're probably never going to eat on the podcast
no, that
again.
was a terrible idea.
That
Awful.
But you listen by sending ham, you created that monster.
Yep. We did. Yeah, we got us another special food gift.
Yeah, we made a cool joke where we said, "Don't send us steaks," and someone sent steak.
Yeah,
which
and
arrived
baked
today.
potatoes and apple tartinis or whatever.
Tartinis isn't a word.
Some guy in a
Tartines.
Facebook group said that he sent whiskey. I don't know if that's true.
If that is, that's very exciting.
Please stop sending.
But
us
we're gonna
things.
do with the steaks. We're gonna record a dumb video with the
Yeah,
steaks.
we're gonna eat steaks, not on a podcast.
We're not
ever.
gonna eat them on the podcast. But
Yeah.
we're gonna eat them in other forms.
Yeah.
Maybe like a picture, like an image gallery. An
Yeah.
image is worth 1,000 words, and so we'll give you 1,000 words worth of steaks.
It's really nice of you, Marty.
Thanks, man. I'm
Very
a poet.
I can
Yeah,
tell.
I did it.
Anyway, moving on. The PS launch party.
PS launch party. This is really cool. I'm trying to remember.
Stop looking like that.
What this was called. This was basically.
This is just how I look.
They started. So Sony years back, every summer, Microsoft would do the Summer of Arcade.
That was
which
back
is
in
a
the day.
big
That stuff
XBLA
that,
game.
like Braid and Limbo
Yes.
and Shadow Complex and Bastion.
And Sony started.
Bastion.
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my
Spring
head. but
Fever or Spring Showcase.
Something.
Spring Forward Fallback.
But this
That
is
sounds
Bruce Springsteen.
This PS launch party
Springfield?
is sort of the continuation of that. It's the natural evolution of that, and there's actually lots of cool games in here that we'll be launching as part of this. Salt and Sanctuary.
Yeah, so that's the first one on
By everyone's favorite ska band, Ska Studios.
Exactly. Less than Jake works there.
Ska Studios. That's coming out on the 15th. Ska Studios did Charlie Murder and The Dishwasher. Salt and Sanctuary is actually
Two of
a
my favorite
super
albums.
cool. Yeah, your favorite mixtape, The Dishwasher.
Yeah, I love it.
Salt and Sanctuary is actually a super cool 2D Dark Souls-y game, a very hard RPG action sort of. You're gonna die a whole bunch game. I've liked it a lot. The week after that,
Very ska.
that is very
I'm
ska.
sorry.
No, you're doing great. Can you tell us more about ska? What do you think of Goldfinger?
I'm actually not a huge fan of ska genre.
What do you think of Real Big Fish?
Hardcore. Real Big Fish are all right.
Cool.
Hardcore. All right.
Terrible. Yeah, Alana, no, go ahead. You were so
Number
excited.
2 is
The next
Day of
one
the
on the
Tentacle
list.
Remastered, which is really cool, actually. That's like another LucasArts adventure game that Double Fine's remaking. We have a good commentary that Ryan McCaffrey did, actually. It's on the site of playing through that.
Yeah, Day of the Tentacle is sort of the it was I think after Monkey Island it was Tim Schafer's sort of big splash. And that game's incredible. It's super funny. It has time travel. It's if you like Broken Age or Grim Fandango, you definitely owe it yourself
Which you
to play
should.
that. You should. And that one's cross-buy with Vita. Remember Vita? Yeah, Vita.
J Vito.
Yeah, Vita.
The next one is Enter the Gungeon.
Enter the Gungeon, which is a
Devolver Digital.
Devolver Digital, who's sort of become the like indie darlings in terms of always releasing cool
They're
stuff.
making a lot of really cool stuff, actually.
Yeah. Enter the Gungeon is sort of it's top down. It's insane. It's almost like a fantasy Hotline Miami-ish thing. Quite nuts. A week later is a cool
Stories
game.
Path of Destinies, and we played this one. It's called Stories: The Hidden Path.
Yeah.
But this game is
That's
really.
a much better name.
The path was found.
Actually, they're both pretty bad names.
I don't like either of the names, but the game
But
is
it's
really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
The game you're playing as these animals, and it's in this weird. The art style is actually really
Jungle?
pretty and interesting, and it's like this weird combination of. You have like a narrator, like in Bastion, but you have as you progress through each world, or each like level of the world, it's almost like FTL. It's like you're
FTL.
choosing a path.
These are all
It's
games
Alana's
I like.
favorite game.
The main character is Peppers.
It takes place in Brisbane, Australia. No, the game is really cool though, and super smart. It was actually really dark and surprisingly funny.
It plays like it plays a little bit. It's top down, almost like Zelda transistory.
What the hell, man?
gameplay. But the
Zelda, Transistor,
Bastion,
Peppers.
Peppers.
What is this? What
Peppers
is
is
this
not in the
heavenly game?
One of the coolest things about it, though, is that as you're playing through, you sort of the game is only 90 minutes long-ish, and you play through. You have these choices, and you flesh out sort of the story of what happens. And your story can turn into a romance, or it can turn into a super dark murder, or with a country being obliterated by another country. But then you go back to the beginning and you replay it, and the narrator and your character remembers the first time through. And so you
that's
start
cool.
making different decisions based on your prior knowledge. And so if someone turns on you the first time through, the second time through, you're like, I know this guy's going to turn on me, so I'm going to get him first. And then you're slowly kind of absorbing knowledge with each playthrough.
That means you can never really have a second playthrough. You'd have to delete all your save data to have a fresh second playthrough.
I would imagine it's save files or New Game Plus or something.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like in order to get the like true ending of the game, which is trying to, I think, save your country. It's in the middle of a war. You sort of have to play through a bunch, and you're
like the idea
you're
of that.
learning how to sort of move all the pieces on the battlefield in order to beat the other country. So it
Yeah, I'm
seems
really excited for this
really
game.
cool.
I liked. We played an early version that hadn't quite ironed out what the level up system would be and stuff like that. But it seemed really really cool, and I'm excited to go through it.
And then on April 19th is Invisible Ink, which was originally called Incognita, which is it's already out on PC, but it's by Clay, who did Don't Starve and Mark of the Ninja. The game's cool. It's
Both
sort of
great games.
Yeah, top-down tactics, a little bit like XCOM stealth words.
Yep.
Whatnot.
And then running out is
And other such buzzwords.
Alienation, which is a Housemarque game. The guys who you may know from Resogun, which launched on PS4.
And Stardust and Dead Nation.
This game looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. I played it at an event last year, and it was in really early, sort of rough shape.
And they haven't shown a ton of it.
No, they haven't. But the way it sort of plays a little bit like Helldivers, and then it's a 4-player co-op game where you can your powers are used in conjunction to help your teammates, but at the same time there was friendly fire, I believe, which made it very very insane. Yeah, so it looks cool. Yeah, it's cool that in obviously there are some big games coming out in the next month or two with The Division and Dark Souls and God, we were looking at May, which something has to slip.
May is now insane. Yeah, so this week we got the release date for Overwatch, which now means in May alone we get Uncharted 4, Doom, Overwatch, Mirror's Edge, Battleborn, Homefront, Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. It's a busy
And a
month.
kiss.
I'm exhausted
And a
already.
kiss.
You get one kiss.
Yeah,
and it's
one whole
after
kiss.
you-
And it's Mother's Day, so tell your mother you appreciate her in May.
Aw.
In the UK, Mother's Day was this past weekend, which saw a bunch of people, UK friends, tweeting about Mother's Day. Got real scared, but it's okay in the US.
You got scared?
I got very. I
you have
want
a
to forget
panic
my
attack?
mom. Thanks, Mom.
Yep.
So, Brian Altano may not be here, but that doesn't mean we can't do rapid fire.
No, it contractually it does mean we cannot do it.
It's called Crapid Fire.
It's called
legally-
Rapid
he
Fire.
legally owns
It's called Barpid Fire.
It's so every week we jump into the Podcast Beyond Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/Podcast Beyond, and we ask some questions. And you did that this week. I don't know why my voice is
Yeah,
all
I did this
shaky.
week. No, that's fine.
Is
That's
it
fine.
because you're talking to Marty?
I'm thinking about
You guys are nice power
disapproving
couple?
or disappointing my mom.
Are you going through puberty?
Going through puberty, pub info already.
Cool fat puberty. Samuel Wilson asks,
Is that your cool Kanye noise?
do you have any favorite Easter eggs in games?
Ooh,
Stop and Swap.
yeah.
I say that about literally every.
Actually, yeah.
Stop and Swap is really cool.
Yeah, Stop and Swap is from Banjo-Kazooie.
I like one thing I think is really cool, and sorry that we're already 2 for 2 on Nintendo games, but I like the idea that so in Twilight Princess HD that just came out, one of the paintings is replaced with concept art from the new Zelda, the Wii U Zelda, and they also did that in I think it was Link Between Worlds. There was concept art in the Ocarina of Time remake. I want to say
Yes.
there was something like
That's
that
right,
where
yeah.
you could go back. I might have which Zelda game it was mixed up, but yeah, I think that's really cool when developers kind of do that. Like if you're going back and doing an HD remake, why not kind of hint at a forward-facing thing?
A cool thing in Day of the Tentacle, which I'm assuming is in this re-release, is that if you go to a computer in someone's bedroom, you go into the computer, and if you click on it, you open up Maniac Mansion, which Day of the Tentacle is the sequel of, so you can play the original game inside of a computer.
Same as
inside of the other game.
Wolfenstein.
Same with Wolfenstein. Yeah, totally.
Which I loved.
Oh, those nightmare sequences where you can play those. Yeah, those are
Even
super
back
cool.
in like the original Wolfensteins, and New Order was a great game.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I was going to say
Also-
the Sasquatch in GTA 5.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Especially because like the chances of someone finding that are just so slim. It had to be like the right weather, the right time, the right location. You had to have done all these different things to actually unlock it. Like I think that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
I like little hidden endgame things. Like obviously PT like ended with a demo or a trailer rather for Silent Hills, which is like a
RIP.
proper expansion. But then like the Sly trilogy ended with the kind of tease for the next Sly game. And I think there have been a lot of really smart. The PS3 release of the original BioShock ended with a teaser for BioShock 2. Like I like kind of including stuff like that, like rewarding people for playing something a little later by teasing what's next.
And I mean, PT also has like anti-Easter eggs with those numbers that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea of that too, of people on forums just like losing their minds over what those numbers mean. And I was remembering them because I thought I'd have to put them in the phone at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well,
which,
I have
to get
sort
a
of,
baby
like,
to cry.
The Witness has even had that too.
The Witness is awesome. I mean, The Witness
Yeah.
is that cool case where like there are things that people think will actually lead into actual like extra puzzles and areas. But like there's also these cool perspective puzzles that don't unlock anything. They don't do anything for you. But it's like if you find certain areas of the island and like line up statues in the distance, you can have them touching, or you can stand where your shadow will reflect something, or you can look at a tree in a certain way. And like that stuff's just really cool and makes you appreciate the island.
The one in the marsh on the Witness where there's like the small statue that's very close to you and the large one that's very far away
and they line
touch.
up. Yeah.
Is that an environmental puzzle?
No.
Can you can't unlock
that is
just like
purely
a
cool perspective thing. Yeah. And there's a lot of cool stuff like that in the game where it doesn't do anything. It's just a cool thing to
looks
find.
Pretty.
And there's like little things like there's a statue. There's a guy reaching up to a cup that he can never get. But if you look at the shadow of it, he's holding the cup. And there's like little things where like there are people who...
The one where it looks like the guy's juggling?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. In the shadow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
that's pretty cool.
There's lots of cool stuff like that.
I kind of assumed that they would always mean something, but maybe they don't.
I mean,
there's that live action movie that's in The Witness.
Mm-hmm. I mean, are these Witness spoilers at this point?
I mean...
Maybe a little...
Is that a spoiler? Because...
I mean, that one's a huge spoiler.
It is?
I think that one's a spoiler.
Let's not talk about that.
Wait,
but that's a cool Easter egg.
The thing or the other thing?
Yeah, the other thing. Not like the theater.
I think we knew which one was a thing and which one was another thing.
No, I know what you mean. We should move on.
Oh, yeah, there are several of those.
Yeah.
Several things.
You're right.
Yeah.
There are several whole things.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's cool when developers hide something special. Also in The Witness, there's a cool Braid Easter egg. There's it looks like the promo art from Braid, like the
Sandcastle.
Yeah. And I think it's cool when people hint at prior games by just having a little hidden thing. I mean, like Bioshock Infinite did a bunch of cool Bioshock stuff that ended up tying in a much bigger way. But
I'm pretty sure that in one level, back to Nintendo, in one level of Banjo-Tooie, there is like promo art for different Rare games.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like a Jet Force Gemini poster and like
yeah.
some different posters for different games that have come out, which I really liked.
Nintendo's really good about that. Like there will be little, like in Ocarina of Time, there's characters that look like Mario and Luigi, and there's funny things people do with like the stained glass and all that. Like I like when I think it happened almost more in previous generations, but I think even now you get people kind of like in Firewatch. There's a reference to Gone Home.
And then
there's
like
the
that
book
string of zombie games who kept like Dead Rising started it. It was like kill this amount of zombies, and then I think Dead Island did it.
Oh, and like
they would like increase the number by one, and that happened for a little while. I thought that was really
funny
cool
too.
God, I remember in Shadow of the Colossus, you have to like play through a couple times and level up your grip to the max, and then you can climb the castle.
Oh, Grippy?
Get to the top. Old Grippy. Use Old Grippy to climb the castle, and then you get to the garden where the secret ending is, which sort of ties into Eco. We don't know he's crappy.
We just assumed.
Yeah,
he looks kind of
he's a frog, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Alana, Shay Masters asks you to summarize America.
That's very broad. That's a real general question.
Well, what if you?
Let's do. You have. I'll tell you when to start. You have 60 seconds to summarize America. Is that better?
That's even more stressful. Now I'm just going to be saying it with a really high-pitched voice, like
2, 1, go. 60 seconds.
Okay, it's a lot more culturally diverse in America because there's a lot more people. So despite the country being roughly the same size, a different city feels like a different country, whereas every city in Australia feels fairly similar, just with a different spin. So that's one of my favorite things about America. People are very defensive in America. People are going to get mad at me for saying that because people in America are defensive. That's exactly what people are going to say. Healthcare sucks. In Australia, you have free healthcare?
No, it doesn't.
Pizza is much, much, much better. The pizza has, I don't know, more toppings, and it's just like more. Oh my god, the pizza is just more diverse. Coffee sucks. It's very hard to find good coffee here. Coffee is much better in Melbourne, in Australia, if you ever go there. I don't really understand politics yet. Keep having discussions about politics, but largely I'm very confused about American politics all the time. And I'm still not very sure how Trump became a thing because he doesn't have any qualifications.
2, 1. All right, oh man, I'm out of time. Hey, Logan Thor Jones asks favorite cheese.
Gouda.
That's a much better question. Ooh, Gouda is good cheese.
Gouda's really good. I like brie. And I didn't.
Briand?
Briand. Oh, yeah, tune into podcast Briand for my full thoughts on brie. I never liked brie until I became old and started eating it on things. Yes.
Yeah, I like all kinds of cheese, except for that
There
yellow
are like
cheese.
a few I'm not super into. I've tried like really
Not
like
a
I don't like
huge
Munster.
fan of blue.
Oh, I love Munster. Yeah, blue
Munster
cheese
very much.
can be overwhelming. I like a
Yeah.
little bit of blue cheese on a burger, but
Yeah.
by itself.
Yeah, on a
it's-
burger.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like blue cheese like a little bit in like a salad or a little bit on a burger. I can do it, but I
By
could never
itself.
eat like a chunk of
Yeah,
I
that's
like
gross.
string cheese. That's not really a type of cheese. It's just like a fake
like
cheese.
mozzarella.
And those
right?
like things that you get those little plastic things. You
Oh, that you
Oh,
peel
string
around.
cheese.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
those are
yeah.
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are real good.
Real good.
Yep.
We did it, guys.
Yep.
Cheese.
Lewis Cudd asks, what do you miss most about your hometowns?
Ooh.
My family.
Yeah, I mean,
my dog.
family. Okay, well,
this
that's your
got
dog is
sad.
technically a part of your family, but now you have a Peppers.
Well, not the same.
Oh, Peppers.
Oh, Peppers.
This is like fifth mention on this podcast.
It's weird, but I miss silence. Like when I go, it was actually really weird when I lived in New York, especially because I lived like right in the middle of like a very busy street, and I would go home and I couldn't fall asleep because it was too quiet. Like the sound of my own breathing would bother me because it's like every apartment I've had, like even now, like I live in the city and like I live a little bit remote, but I hear enough traffic and stuff that I'm just like, it's almost comforting in a weird way. Whereas when I go home to Connecticut, it's very, very quiet. But I do sort of miss that, and I do think that's better. Like obviously
maybe
that's
it's just that
healthier.
you've adjusted.
It's just
to the
always
noise.
it's always like a weird. It takes like 3 or 4 days of being home to like actually adjust to it every
it's
time.
the same thing like that at my parents' house. Yeah, I mean, aside from family and friends, everything seems slower pace, which is nice for a little bit. Like I like going home. I go home a couple times a year, and for like a week, it's very nice to have a much slower pace where no one's really, I don't know, no one's really in a hurry to do anything. And then I'm clawing my way to get back on the plane to come here so I can have a panic attack.
Yeah,
Also,
aside
the,
from family, mine's probably storms. The storms in Brisbane are like fairly regular depending on the season, but really, really noisy and angry, and there's like just epic fork lightning, and sometimes it just hails out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah, I really like
love that.
thunderstorms. Yeah.
It's fun.
In San Francisco, we don't have that at all. There's like no weather here.
And I
we
mean,
had a couple
if
rad storms
if
lately.
there are storms, it usually doesn't
We've
make
had
very much
rain,
noise.
but I don't feel like we get like proper thunderstorms here.
Yeah.
I think, and I miss a lot of the like food. Like my town is just known for
I
really
totally miss
good,
food.
like the seafood there is unbelievable.
Hash browns,
and-
bro.
Yeah, that's
I
for
miss
you.
good
It's
Australian hash brown.
For you, it's very different because like there's actual like legitimate differences in cuisine and stuff.
Like literally everything.
I mean, which is a good transition into Connor Weir. Has Alana tried to get you guys to eat any Australian products such as Wheat Bix, second mention in a row, or Vegemite, or Milo? Was that the Project Milo?
Is
it Project Milo? That's
Milo? What is Milo?
Peter Molyneux thought you could make. You could have a boy.
When I was in Australia, the Australians I was with made me eat a lot of
I
weird
had no
Australian
idea that
stuff.
you didn't know what it was. I found on Facebook today that there is this like box that you can get for Australians who are living outside of the country, where they just send you like Milo, Wheat Bix, Vegemite.
What is Milo?
Shapes.
I'm looking it up.
Shapes?
Let me try and.
Shapes?
You don't have shapes here
You
at
know
all?
who loves shapes?
Bro, barbecue shapes. Edwin loves shapes.
Edwin loves
I
shapes.
totally had these when I was in Australia.
Wait, what? Okay, so stop just saying the
Milo.
things. What is Milo?
Milo is like a brown powder that most people would like. You scoop it into a
Oh, I'm totally wrong. I didn't have
glass,
this.
and then you put milk in it, and you like mix it up, and it like is
So
a
like
nice.
Nesquik?
I mean, you're kind of like
chocolate?
Nesquik, yeah. But
It says
a lot
Nestle. It's Nestle branded, so I wonder if
yeah,
it's
it's
just
Nestle.
literally
But
like
a
Australian.
lot of people like will just eat Milo by the spoon. Twisties. Forgot that you don't have Twisties. Oh man.
We have a weird. Isn't there like a store called Twisties?
Twisties.
No, there's not a store called Twisties.
There's
Andrew.
absolutely a store called Twisties.
delicious.
Those are just Cheetos.
Yeah, those are
They're not
look
definitely
Cheetos.
exactly
They
like
don't
Cheetos.
taste like Cheetos.
They
And
look like
then
Cheetos. And Vegemite's the gross thing, right? It's like a spread. It's like a.
it's like
Apparently Twisties is a porn site, so that's not a store.
Don't go to twisties.com. We do not approve of it.
Vegemite is like if soy sauce was a spread. I don't like Vegemite.
Yeah, I didn't like Vegemite at all, and like
Depends, also
I
depends
like
what you
soy
have it
sauce a
with. It's
lot.
only nice with bread and cheese.
But it's funny because, and admittedly, I have a very small sample size of Australians, but I feel like you and Lucy and everyone I've talked to from Australia doesn't like Vegemite. Like, and that's obviously anecdotal.
I mean, my parents like it. I don't like it at all. But also shapes.
What are shapes?
They're like
It's going to be something that has like a direct analog. It's like,
like-
it's a circular cracker with salt on it. It's a Ritz cracker.
they're like cool chips.
Cool chip. What exactly makes them cool?
They're like thicker than a regular chip, and they're seasoned nicely. I don't know how to explain shapes, but recently they put on the labels of barbecue shapes in Australia, which is objectively the best flavor, that they were like going to be new and improved flavor coming soon, and so people kept abusing shapes about it. They're like,
I'm
if
gonna be
you
honest.
change barbecue shapes,
I'm
I
gonna-
am never supporting
the
you ever again.
Typography of Australian food products is so dumb. Look at this. Look at
They look like wheat thins. These look like wheat thins.
No, you don't even.
Or not wheat thins,
All
but like
shut up. Yep.
those little.
thing.
Yeah.
I love that you called Milo
Pop chips.
Milo. What is this? Milo? That's so cute.
Becky
I Googled
Flossie
shapes and it
Atkinson
just came up with
asks.
shapes.
Yeah, because shapes are just. She Googled shapes now. She just has a bunch of shapes.
Becky,
Go. Becky Flossie Atkinson asks Alana
favorite dog breed?
favorite dog breed.
Samoyed.
Samoyed's really good.
What about Peppers?
He's not
what's
a dog
that,
breed. He's a Pomeranian.
Pomeranian? Yeah.
Samoyeds are really good, especially those. What are those three? What are their names?
They are Shibas.
Oh, they're Shibas.
Yeah,
I
those
don't
are the
know
awkward Shibas.
I don't know what names they have.
What do you think the
Awkward
three of
one,
them would
awkward
be
two,
named?
and awkward
What
three.
should we name them?
So we should. There's this Instagram account that we all follow that is just videos of these three Shibas looking
They're
very
so
awkward.
Awkward, yeah.
Every time. It's so incredible that nobody else ever comments on how awkward they all look.
Yeah.
It's just like videos that should have been photos of these three cute dogs just like sort of awkwardly looking around and not really doing
Yeah, they
anything.
move
Like
very
I
slowly.
love it so
And they always
much.
cut off just as like there's somewhere it's like the dogs are standing still and one of them finally starts moving and that's where the video ends. And you're like, all right,
they're
thanks.
just all very awkward videos. It's great. I think Shiba's a really cool dog breed.
Yeah.
I also love pit bulls and Rottweilers. The
Yeah.
dog I had growing up was a Rottweiler, and she was just like the sweetest dog. But the reason that I decided to get a Labrador was because people would just be afraid of her on the basis that she was a Rottweiler, and it was annoying.
Yeah.
It's funny
Like
because
walk a dog and have people cross the street to be on a different side of the road kind of sucked.
I've always preferred
It was actually
bigger.
Yeah, it was probably me.
I've always preferred bigger dogs, but by virtue of having lived in apartments for years, I
can't.
you need a smaller dog. Like
Yeah.
it would be very impractical to have like a gigantic dog, like a
Yeah.
Malamute or something would be obviously ridiculous.
Oh my god, I love Malamutes.
They're really cute.
So obviously I live with Pepper Scoville, the Pomeranian, who's a tiny little guy, and he's also super lovely. Like,
Yep. Also, if you don't already follow Dagger on Instagram, that's a friend of the show, Anthony Carboni, has a really cute dog that's literally blonde Peppers. Like it's Peppers
yeah.
palette
He
swap.
showed me that. It was incredible.
It's really cute.
But he's really nice because little dogs can just find spaces to just curl up in.
Yeah.
Like, he'll just be like sitting there cross-legged and he's like, well, I live here now. And I'm like, okay. I mean, my Labrador tried to do that too, but it was significantly less comfortable for me.
Dogs are the best.
Dogs are the best.
Happy birthday, Peppers.
It's Friday. His birthday's on Friday.
Well, we're not gonna have an episode by then. What if people are listening to this on Friday?
Oh, I feel like Pepper's
Why
probably
is his
tunes
birthday party
in
on
every
Saturday?
Wednesday.
Is Peppers gonna be super bummed that Friday is gonna roll around and no one's gonna celebrate with him?
Yes. Also, we are having a birthday party for Peppers on the 12th. And we're organizing
And you're all invited.
what we're going to feed people. And
it dog food?
It's formal, so you have to wear a nice dress or I don't know what guys wear. A cool button up.
It's two cardigans that are buttoned together to form a longer cardigan.
A large cardigan dress.
Yes, happy birthday, Pepper Scoville. All right, that was our news for the week. We're going to have a much larger, much bigger show next week for GDC because we're going to record. It's probably going to be a little bit late next week because the PSVR event, which
That's Tuesday,
Max,
right?
Alana, and I, will all be at, runs Tuesday until like 6 p.m. So
Very
the
excited.
show might be a little bit late. But we're going to have full impressions of what news comes out of it, including if price and release date, plus
Hopefully.
our impressions of a bunch of new games and updates of demos. So maybe it'll just invalidate everything we did this week.
And probably also The Division. I'll play a bunch of them.
Yeah, we're going to play more Division. Yeah, that'll be good. Also wanted to give a shout out to our PS4 app, which you can download for free on PSN. It's actually amazing. It's one of those few things that you download it, and it's just kind of the best way to watch videos on IGN. You can set up a playlist to watch all Beyond videos or just a bunch of gameplay from games or watch our live streams. And the app is, like, honestly, if you... I don't know. I've had problems with IGN on a lot of different fronts in terms of just like, oh God, there's ads everywhere, or oh God, this crashes. But like the app just sort of runs perfectly. So
That's my favorite thing about apps is when they run perfectly.
yeah, shout out to apps. Also appetizers.
I like appetizers.
I like
a
a
lot.
good appetizer.
Yeah.
Also, on the day that we're recording this, it's International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say shout out to all the female listeners.
Yeah.
Sometimes people tweet at me or email us really nice, supportive things. So thank you for listening.
Also,
We-
as much as I want to apologize about the ham last week, I want to say thank you to all the amazing emails and Facebook posts and everything we got about the discussion at the end of the episode about
Yes.
sort of diversity and,
Yeah.
and the trials and tribulations of both sides of the games industry.
I walked out of that podcast a little bit worried, but I haven't seen anything negative. Everyone's been super supportive and awesome, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank
And
you guys
super
so much.
important too. And it is awesome that so many people are positively affected by that.
I mean, yeah, and that we don't have to be scared to say anything on this podcast because people are supportive. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job. Thank you guys so much, Alana. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much. We can find you guys on Twitter. Andrew, you are at Garfep. Alana, you at Charalanazard, which is like your name right in the middle of that cool flying dragon man.
With a H in the middle.
A H? Oh, you have a full H?
Yeah, I have a H.
Yeah, the H-full H?
You trying to make fun of me?
Yep. Oh, we're succeeding. Crushed it.
It doesn't sound weird to me when you say H because that's how I say it. You're like a H, and I'm like, yeah, that's that letter. Oh wait, you're mocking me.
I was just not mocking you. I was trying to be inclusive.
Aw, thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome.
See how nice he is.
Beyond.